This summer, we experienced some record temperatures for a long period of time. The country is also experiencing a countrywide drought. Our Norwood resident and weather expert Joe Delicarpini explains some weather patterns that has led to this record-breaking summer.
Everyone from the National Weather Service's Boston office located in Norton, Massachusetts. We're here today to talk about the heat and drought that has kind of dominated the summer of 2022 here in southern New England. Just to introduce myself, my name is Joe Delicarpini. I'm one of the meteorologists and the Science and Operations Officer at the Boston Weather Forecast Office, also a Norwood resident. So I'm here to take you through a look at kind of the prevailing weather pattern we've had this summer, and a little bit of a talk a little bit about the heat and the drought in particular. So when we talk about kind of the typical jet stream pattern that we see for heat waves, I kind of show it to you here. There's always some sort of a very large high pressure, and this is located up at about 18 to 20,000 feet in the atmosphere. Those are kind of where our steering currents are for things like high and low pressure, or cold fronts, warm fronts, those sort of things. And it's this high pressure that kind of cuts itself off from the main jet stream. You can see in this diagram the main jet stream is kind of across southern Canada here, and we've got a high pressure center that's kind of cut itself off. It's located over the Plain States. So this is called a blocking high pressure system. It's pretty typical in the summertime, and depending on where it sets up will tell us where the hot weather is going to be. So usually it's in one of three areas. One is can be off the East Coast. That's known as the Bermuda High, which you may be familiar with. Sometimes it's over the plains like you see here, and other times it can be over the Rockies, and that's when we tend to see a lot of drought and forest fires across the western third of the country. Now I'm going to show an animation here. This is actually the jet stream pattern that's pretty much prevailed this summer, and you can see we've got that blocking high pressure system. Was largely over the Rockies and the Midwest for much of the summer. But this is, looking at the August time frame when we had that very long spell of hot weather. You can see eventually it starts to migrate east. It's covering, pretty much large portion of the continental United States. We're kind of on the edge of it, but you can see the wind flow comes out of southern Canada right around that high pressure system. So it's pumping actually hot air up into Canada and back down into the United States. And this is really the reason why we went through that extended period of 90+ degree temperatures, especially in August. This just lasted for several days and finally broke a little bit as we got into the middle part of the month. Now let's talk a little bit specifically about Norwood. I'm going to show you some temperature and rainfall data from the airport, which is where we keep our official data for the town of Norwood. What we're looking at here is a graph of temperature from about the early part of June through about mid-August. So these bars represent the high and low temperature. The high temperatures are at the top, the low temperatures are at the bottom. As we start into June, we're pretty much in the normal range, which is defined in this yellow shading. What you're looking at for the red curves are kind of the record highs, and the blue is the record low. So you can see we're pretty much in that yellow band or the normal range for most of June, with a few exceptions. And even into the first part of July, there were a few hot days mixed in. But we really see the hot pattern emerge from about mid-July. We had several days closing in on 90, and then most recently in the early part of August, where we had about over a week of above average temperatures. So you can see, the summer overall is going to end up most likely being above average, but it really was that mid-July to mid-August period where we really turned on the heat. And you can see above here on the chart, we so far through about the middle of August, 20 days of 90 plus, or 90 or higher high temperatures. An average Norwood sees about 11 days in a given summer, so we're already well above that. Wouldn't surprise me if we see a few more as we head into later August and September. And just as a bit of a trivia, what was our hottest day? Well, it was July 24th, when the airport hit 100 degrees on the century mark. So definitely been hot for the past few weeks. Now, when we look at rainfall, no surprise, it's well below normal. The curves we're looking at here is normal rainfall is in this brown curve, and the actual rainfall is in the green line. And you can see, starting off in June, we were close to normal, even a little bit above, and then we really started to dry out for about the middle of June onward. You can see the green line, which represents, again, our observed rainfall, is well below what we should be seeing for this time of year. And actually, the departure is getting greater and greater as we got into the later part of July and August. So since June 1st, we've only had about 4.25 inches of rain. That's up into mid-August. Normal is almost double that, or a little over double that, at 8.95 inches. So yes, we are well below normal. And it's really been the combination of the dry weather plus the heat that's really caused a lot of issues as far as lawns, gardens, flowering plants requiring almost daily watering. Just the heat, again, the combination of the heat and the dryness has really led to that. Fortunately, our larger water bodies like the Quabbin Reservoir, which supplies water to Norwood, still in pretty good shape. So that's why we really haven't seen much in the way of watering restrictions here in Norwood, while our neighboring towns have had complete water bans in place for a few weeks now. So we're talking about drought, and yeah, no surprise, this was a map released on August 18th. You can see much of eastern Massachusetts, Rhode Island, even a portion of eastern Connecticut are in what's called D3, or extreme drought. So on a scale of essentially 0 to 4, we're getting toward the higher end of the scale now for drought conditions, with only D4 kind of left. But much of southern New England is in that D2, or severe drought category, and even some of the neighboring areas, even though they've had a little more in the way of showers and thunderstorms this summer, even some of those areas have been abnormally dry too. So, kind of the outlook as we head into late August, September is really for this to persist. We're not really seeing much in the way of signs of getting a really wet pattern in place. The one thing we'll have to watch for as we get into August and September, of course, the tropics. A tropical storm, a hurricane, or even remnants of one can certainly bring a lot of much needed rainfall to the area. So, but overall, the weather pattern seems to be like it'll remain about the same for the next few weeks. So that's a quick summary of our look at the heat and drought for summer of 22. Again, my name is Joe Deli Carpini. You are welcome to contact me. My email address listed there if you have any questions or comments. And again, just looks like a continuation of a warm and dry pattern as we head into September. Thank you very much.